Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on personalizing your Actionstep system. Today's webinar will be conducted by me, Natasha Dubauskas-Reed, Customer Success Specialist at Actionstep. And we're going to go through a demo today of how you can make your Actionstep system work for you. The topics that we're going to cover are how do we insert our company logos? How do we insert our signatures and why should we do this? Should we have profile pictures for our staff members? How to add icons for our different matter types or workflows? What we can do with participant tags? How we can use abbreviations? How we can set up personalized mailboxes? How we could set up different participant types? How we can use and differentiate gender pronouns? How we can use custom data, and how we can personalize our calendars. So now I'm just going to go through and do a demo on each of these topics. First, we're going to look at our company logo and setting out our company details. So when we go into our system, you'll see your company name up here. Now, if we click on this, this gives us our organization key. So if you ever need to reach out to Actionstep, if you can always quote this organization key, or if you get asked what is your org key or organization key, it is this one here. And that's how we distinguish each of the separate systems. So to set up our business contact record, we click here and we come in here and we can edit this from here. And this is where we can put in all of the details about our company, and this can all be fed through to a letterhead and to our templates. And the reason that we use merge fields for this and not a dedicated letterhead is what about down the line if you change your office address? If we have it all set up with merge fields, all you need to do is to come into this record, edit, change this address, and that will feed through to all of your templates from there. So there's no need to get that letterhead updated every single time. What we also want to do is we want to put our company logo on our templates. So to do that, we go to Admin, and then we go to General Settings. And we want to put our business logo here. So you can see mine is already here, and this is also a merge field. So if down the line we do change our business logo, all we need to do is upload the new one here, and that will feed through to all the templates as long as we have those set up with the relevant merge fields. What is also good to set up is any of our employees, if we bring up their contact record, so you can see here, for instance, I have Jane. Now I have her set up with her signature. And again, if we upload, so we can just upload the signature here. So we can get them to write it on a blank bit of paper. And then we can upload it here. And again, this can be merge filled into our templates so that we're not having to print, sign, and scan. And another good idea to set up for our staff as well is our profile pictures. So we can have photos of our staff, and if people aren't comfortable with that, we can also have things like cartoon characters, movie characters. You may have a theme in your system. It could be anything at all, really. Game of Thrones characters, if someone is a fan of Game of Thrones. You can really play with it and make it your own. So Jane has Bugs Bunny, and if we go to the home screen, where it becomes prominent is here in the recent activity. So you can see all of your staff logging in just by their profile pictures. Now, if I go to General Matter and I go into my documents, and I'm just going to show you here, I'm going to generate this letterhead, which I've generated already, just to show you what it would look like. So if I generate that letterhead, you can see here that the letterhead will come out with my details, with my logo. I have the date, the signature. So because these are all merge fields, if I ever need to change the logo, I can do it in the system, just in one place, and the same with the signature. Let's take a look at matter types. So if we go up to admin and we look at matter types, you'll notice here some matter types that may have already been in your system, and also you can create new matter types here. So our different matter types are our different areas of work. And when we first create a matter type, we get this Actionstep logo. However, you can change the logos to suit yourself. So for example, for conveyancing, if I click on that and then go to matter type settings, or even the edit button here, they both go to the same place, you will see here that we have a matter type icon. So we can see the icon here. Now, if I click this to on, you'll see that we've got a range of other icons that you can select. However, you can also upload your own icon. So if you do have pictures that best represent the work you do, you can use those here. So we can select an icon and upload it and hit save. Now, the reason that we will do that is because now if I go to search a matter, all my icons appear. So it's a really good visual of what type of work that matter relates to. Another good thing to set up is tags. So if we go to admin, and all the way down the bottom, we have something called additional settings. Now, if we click on additional settings, we have tags here. So if I click on tags, you will usually have these 4 tags that come in your system. However, you can create new tags yourself as well. So let's say, for example, we wanted to create our VIP tag. We would give it a name and we can give it a description. And we can choose an icon from a range of icons that we have here. And we can also choose where we want to use that tag. So against tasks, participants, file notes, or documents. So I have done this VIP tag against participants earlier. Now, let's say I look at a contact. I created my VIP tag and I want Alan to be a VIP. So if I edit his contact record, I would expect to see the tags here, but I can't see it. So if it's the first time you've created a tag against a participant, to make it show, we go up to admin and we go to additional settings, and then we go to participant types. Now we need to think, where do we want this tag to appear? Is it just against individuals or is it against companies? So we need to think about how we want to do it. So I want to do it against an individual. So I find individual here and you'll see this panel count. So if you click on the number, this shows you our panels and the columns where they show. So this is the information in relation to our contact, and you'll see that tags isn't there. So we just add a row and then we select tags. And we'll say we want that at number 7. So I hit save. Now if I go to Alan, and I click edit, you'll see my contact tag appear and I can click him as a VIP and hit save. Now, if I go to any matters of which Alan is a participant, so Alan's called about his general matter, I can see he's a VIP. And we can also bring up a report of tags against participant as well. So we may want to see all our VIPs in a list, and we can do that. Another way to further personalize your system is to use abbreviations. So again, if we go to admin and general settings, we have abbreviations here. So I'm going to add one here, and let's say I have an initial consult for conveyancing or for real estate, or we can call it what we want. And I'm just going to call it ICC. And in my file note, I want to get name, date of birth, sale or purchase, amount, KiwiSaver, any other details. So let's say that's a note for my reception or for my paralegals or whoever's taking these calls to just get this initial information first so that I can review that and so they don't forget to ask any certain questions. So that's the abbreviation and that's my text there. If I hit save, now if I go back to Alan's matter, and let's say Alan has called and I want to make a file note, then if I use that abbreviation in my file note, you will see all those details come up. So I can then further go fill those out and format that file note. And it's just a really good reminder of what we need to remember. Let's now look at our email. So we have two types of email in Actionstep that you can set up. So we have our system email, which is if we go to admin and email, if we look at outbound email, we'll set up a system mailbox. And this will be a mailbox that anyone can send from. So it could be a matters at or an info at or contact at, something like that. Now, we've got some settings here. We can have a mandatory disclaimer on all the emails that are sent out and step change emails. We can pick here whether we want them sent out via the system mailbox, so by the info at or contact at, or by our user mailboxes, which is our other email. So we've got a system mailbox and then we have our user specific mailboxes. So I'm going to pick user mailboxes and we can set up a default signature. We can also set up if we want to send externally. So if we click on an email address in Actionstep, it opens up in, say, Outlook, if we're using Outlook, rather than sending the email from Actionstep itself. And you can just turn that on. If we want to look at a user's mailbox, then we click on their name at the top, just like that. And this is where we can set up their own mailbox. So they can send from their own mailbox as well, and also on a step change. There's lots of different ways because Actionstep does send automatic notifications, automatic emails on step changes, and they are all sent in different ways. And there's a really helpful guide in the user guide about the email and how automated emails are sent out and from which mailbox, which I'll post a link up for you, which will be sent to you at the end of the webinar and the workshops. Another aspect that we'll look at personalizing is our participant types. So For example, I've opened a matter here it's an immigration type matter, and I have all these parties on my immigration matter. However, I deal with a lot of different nationalities and I regularly use interpreters. So I also want to add the interpreter to my matters. So how do I go about that? Okay, so I want to add an interpreter. So I go up to admin and I'm going to go to my matter types. I'm going to find immigration. Now here under matter type settings, we can see manage parties. So if I look in here, this is where we set out what participants are on this matter. So that's the list that we just saw. So I want to add interpreter. Okay, so I can see I actually don't have an interpreter participant type to add. So what do I do from here? So I go back to my admin. And down the bottom again, we have this additional settings and you can see participant types. So if we go to additional settings and we click on participant types, we'll see a whole range of different participant types that we can use in our matter types. Now, if I go up here to add participant type, this is where I can add interpreter. So I can add that myself to be used. And I can also say whether it's a company, it's always going to be a company or always going to be an individual, or not specify. So I'm not going to specify for this one and I'm going to hit save. That's now saved down. So now if I go back to admin, back to my matter types and to immigration and my matter type settings, I can now add interpreter. So now if I go back into my immigration matter, I can now add an interpreter to my matter type and that will appear in all of them. We can also customize our pronouns that are used within Actionstep. So if we go up to admin and we look at additional settings, and if we look all the way down the bottom, we have gender classifications. So if you click on that, we do have built-in male, female, but we can add a gender as well. So say, for example, we wanted to enter non-binary. We can do, and we can have a pronoun type. And this will become apparent when we're putting together document templates because we can use pronouns in our templates. And we hit save. And that's now saved. And you can add as many as you need. Another really, really important way of personalizing your system and making it work for you is custom data. Now, custom data is quite a massive topic, but I'm going to show you an introduction to it. So if we go into our matter types, I'm going to show you, for an example, a will matter type. Now, in all of our different areas of law and different areas of work, there will be information that we want to keep in relation to the file. So it could be anything from we want to keep certain reference numbers, we want to keep dates, and it will differ depending on what type of file we're working on. And that's where metadata comes into play. So if we go to our admin, our matter type wills, and we look here at metadata, this is where we can set up what we call different data collections. So I've got a data collection here which is called will information. And if we look down, these are all the different fields that can be entered in relation to my will. So I've got executors information, benefactor, internment. Now, these are the different types of data So all of these are single line text, and then I have some drop down lists. So for example, for internment, if we look at that, we can see I have a drop down list with these options. What's really handy about having a drop down list is people can't freestyle write. So if I'm looking at doing a report, or it's something that has to be limited in the data, then I can do it by having a drop down. So the user's limited to what they can put in, and I've got more ability for that in my reporting. Now there's all different options for data collection fields. So what we will do is we'll have a look at them. So when we create our fields here, we can add a field. And here is where we get our options for all our different types of field. And we do have a really good user guide article which goes through what these are and what they mean, which I'll also attach to the user guide that will be sent out with this webinar and at the workshop. Now, we can also create a new data collection. And what we mean by that is all the information you see in here is in relation to the will. We may want another data collection that's actually in relation to the engagement of this matter. So we may want to have something like quote, which is money, and some terms of the engagement, which may be brought into the engagement letter, and that may be multi-line text. So I can save that down. Now you see I have the two different data collections. So if I go to a will matter, you will see the data collections appear here. So you can see my two different types of data collections, and my fields will appear in here. And in the next one. So remember that these data collections can be used for all different purposes. We can use them in our document templates, we can use them in our reporting, and we can also copy them across. So it's really good to know that if you do create one data collection that you actually want in all the matter types, you can copy them across. You don't need to be creating them manually in each one. And it may be things, maybe your engagement terms are the same that you need across all the matter types. There could be lots of reasons, things like AML, anti-money laundering as well, and you can copy them across. And our last topic is calendars. So let's have a look at how we can personalize our calendar. So if we go up to calendar and hit anything, we come to our calendar here in Actionstep. So down here, we can see our own calendars and also any other calendars that are shared with us. And if we click on the little down arrow next to it, we can edit our calendar or share our calendar. So if we go to edit calendar, we can give our calendar a name. We can also select a color, and we have various options for our alerts, for our suggestions, for our timesheet suggestions, and for any external changes. And we also have automatic merge fields that can show in relation to appointments when they're attached to matters in Actionstep. Now we also have other preferences. So if we look up here in the top right hand corner, we have preferences as well. And if we click on this, we have our general preferences. So when we look at our calendar, we can have a default view, which shows the day, the week, or the month, so that every time we open it, it shows the same view. And we also have a custom time zone label. So I have a New Zealand calendar or NZST, but I can label that how I want to, and I might just label it New Zealand or Auckland. I can choose if I want to show weekends or public holidays, use the heat map, and when I start work and when I end work. Now, if we scroll down, we can also show some alternate time zones. And it may be that you also have an office in another country, so it's really useful for you to know straight away what time it is elsewhere when you're sending out appointments for meetings or looking at your calendar. So I've also set up an alternate time zone for New South Wales in Australia, but obviously you can pick any time zone by just clicking here. So we then can have a look at tasks. So this will add tasks also to your calendar, and you can pick the user and also the color. And we can have different filters. So do we show only incomplete tasks? And do we hide tasks from timesheets? And do we show them as all day? We also have another preference here, which is custom data. So we can add custom data for ourselves or other users, and we can choose what custom data dates we want to include from our actual matter types. And if we look at, say, for example, conveyancing, I may want to see when all the due dates of the conditions and the met, waived and cancellation date. So I can tick those and say preferences, and all of that custom data will also show in my calendar. When you've picked all your preferences, you click Save Preferences, and they will appear in your calendar. And you can see here our 2 different time zones as well. Thanks everyone for attending today's webinar. Make sure at the end of the webinar to sign up for one of our workshops where we can go through how to set up everything that we've gone through in the webinar. You'll receive an invitation after the webinar, so make sure to sign up. And if you do have any questions in the meantime, please feel free to email them through to customersuccess@actionstep.com. Thanks for attending, and make sure to catch our next webinar next month.